Why, hello there, nomads and yes-mads alike. Shams Nelson here from Pen and Blade, and today's episode of Cartography Quest. We shall be drawing the plains, and the grasslands, and the brushlands, and the Savanna. Someone actually requested a Savanna video, and we're gonna put it in here because it's basically a grassland or brushland that got a little too many trees, but not quite enough to be a forest. So here's the more complicated map. We're gonna go through and look at this example map and then a variation on this map, and then we are going to talk about the different plains types, which I've already told you the names and how to draw them and make your plains a little more interesting if you want, and also how plains are the negative space of your painting, which is a map, and how the negative space is actually the positive space. So all right, let's just get into all this business. So here's the first example map, but I want to take away the details because honestly the empty space is basically the plains. I was going to be all fancy and clever and just be like, I'm going to teach you guys how to draw plains. Done. Because that's it. That's the empty areas is the plains, right? In most maps. But we can spice them up a bit, but I feel like that's your bread and butter. And what makes the plains, like, that's kind of like the livable open land where people can see far enough away that like predators can't sneak up on them, and it's probably hopefully good farmland if it gets enough rain, depending on the soil composition too, but I don't know about too much about all that. So let me show you the variation on this guy. All right, so what I did here, let's go back and forth between these two real quick. All right, and just, I'm kind of curious if you guys will get a different feel from one or the other. It's the exact same map, but what I've done is I've made the markers much smaller and less detailed, which hopefully gives the impression that the land is far more expansive and larger. The Great Sea of Grass, I called it that because the plains can be a barrier like a mountain or a dense forest or large forest could be to divide up your regions. And that's what we're going to talk about first. So you could think of it, let me just get through the Sea of Grass thing or else I'll probably forget. But the idea is that like if you're going to cross the plains and you can't eat grass, maybe some humanoids can, then you need to be able to sustain yourself until you get across these plains if they're significantly wide enough, and then you can eat whatever's on the other side of it. You can hunt and gather and all that stuff. This is why nomads are traditionally found in the plains, because their creatures can eat the grass and they can eat what their creatures produce or their creatures themselves. And so that's typically what you'll find. And so it's almost like you can think of it as the sea, because when you go out in the ocean, typically they're not expecting to go fishing and catch fish along the way. When you're out in the deep ocean, you got to bring all your supplies. Additionally, nomads could be thought of as kind of like pirates. So out on the seas, if some nomads come up, they could, take advantage of you out there on your own. So that's one little thought that I wanted to share that I thought was interesting to consider as you're creating the lore around plains. So let's talk about also how plains are basically the negative space of your map, which if you're an artist and you study art, you probably heard that negative space is important to consider the shapes that are created. So as I'm sitting here, this is the negative space over here. This is an interesting piece of negative space, and I was actually thinking I love the way that this microphone curls, and one of the reasons is probably, where is it? Right there. Oops, that's probably making an annoying noise in the mic. Right there, there's some negative space. You see it? Little dot right there. And then there's a cool shaped negative space right in here between the mic. So anyways, in this map, we can outline some of the negative space. Let's get a different color thingy. That should be fine. So when I'm looking at it, these are the regions I'm seeing as the negative space. This is probably one big one. I would probably almost think of this as separate. I don't know why, but it's probably the same. You know, you could think of these as the general negative space regions. This one, depending on if you think I purposefully left a large space between these two, which of course I did. Everything is purposeful and masterfully done. Why do you have doubts? All right, cool. So those are all the spots where I'm going to think, are these inhabited by human settlements, or is there a good reason why they wouldn't be? When I make a map, I usually assume that all the plains areas will be inhabited by humanoids unless there's a low humanoid population. Usually there's quite a few humanoids in these lands or these worlds I create. Or if there's a good reason, like the Sea of Grass, where nomads could subsist, but maybe even the grasses aren't that great for the creatures. But I feel like usually a creature will, evolve to eat the grasses in that area if it's plentiful. So it makes sense that there would be. But maybe it's not a creature that produces milk or some kind of renewable food. I don't think you can just have creatures that you keep killing. Oh, unless they have babies a lot. So like rabbits, that would be an interesting. Like if there were giant rabbits and then nomads could ride them and use them as pack animals, but they also reproduced at the rate of normal rabbits so that they could eat the rabbits, because that's the problem with eating your creatures from a non-humanitarian perspective. Or humanitarian, that's actually not animatarian. Lifetarian. Anyways, whatever. We're getting on a tangent, and this is about planes. So you get it. There's negative spaces, and that's that's a nice way to consider. And often I'll decide, like, okay, is this going to be one faction, and this is going to be another faction? And then if so, this is like the buffer zone. Is there going to be a fort here? Because they could come through the mountains. Maybe there has to be a fort. I mean, the hills, there could be a fort there too. Or there could be some strange evil creatures that's happening there. So again, I'm getting off on tangents, but just to give you an idea of how plains can be a rich source of world building magic, you know what I'm saying? So coming back over here, we're going to go to do you like the small map or the large map? Well, we've been looking at the small map, so let's pull up the large map. And let's pull up our different types of little details to get this thing looking a little more exciting. So we're going to go through these from the most ones that get the most rainfall. And I'm actually including marshes here too, because I don't think we have a swampland specific biome episode. And I thought this would be the place where it makes most sense to include it, or at least drawing wise. And so we'll go from the most to the least rainfall. So most rainfall, well, maybe not rainfall, but moisture, or why did that happen? Oh, okay. It was a premonition. Is marshlands over here. All right. Let me make this later. And so I'm going to show you how I draw each of these. We'll just go through them quickly on this map. The second most rainfall will probably be these savannas over here. All right. Third most, we're going to have brushland with these more leafy like brushes. Maybe we could call the next level of dryness the scrublands. Sounds more scrubby. And then this is also like I don't know what that would be. Could be like just plains with a couple trees scattered about. Sometimes I'll be driving out when I was driving up to San Francisco a lot, and I think that's where I see them. I don't know. Anyways, the point is that there'll be these plains or areas with large portions of grass, and then like one tree. And I'm like, why is there just one tree? How come its seeds haven't made another tree by now? Maybe there's another tree, but it's like way off. And I'm like, do these trees have territorial issues? I don't know. But apparently there can be just a few scattered trees in the plains. So in that case, we've got something like this, which we're going to talk about drawing 3 different tree types, which you can see on this map right here. And then to get we're going less rainfall. Finally, it's just like kind of dry and more barren plains. So let's draw all these guys, shall we? All right. So should I leave these guys up? The reason I brought them up in the first place and showed examples is because it doesn't look like much when you're like drawing small amounts of them. It really has to be like on a map where you can see, like right here, this doesn't look like much. If I zoom in and just draw it for you guys, I'm like, that's plains. You'd be like, well, what? But I think when you saw it on the map, it looks like plains. It's plains, you guys. So in that case, it's important to, show you guys an example first. So the brain and butters. Let's do the trees first, or else I feel like I'm going to forget that. So let's do the trees, then we'll do this guy, which is the brain and butters, apparently, and we'll build out some shrubs. So there's basically 3 different kinds of trees we're going to look at here. We got your round trees, with just a stem. You got the ones that are more like a Christmas tree, pine tree, and so it's basically a triangle, which you could use a triangle actually, maybe that's your style, but I like to round the edges of my triangle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then the last one is the Savanna trees. And I have that maybe off center a little bit on that one. I was trying to experiment with something like this. I thought that would be cool maybe. But on the scale I was drawing it at, you can see them over here. It's not really working out. The other thing you can add to savannas with the same amount of simplicity is bushes. And I would just do them like that, maybe a little flattened on the bottom. And they could maybe look like rocks. That's fine too. Or you could maybe even make them rocks if you want to add some rocks. I didn't add any rocks to these biomes, but I think they could work. So let's make a really small version so you can see what that'll look like. So the trees, let's get a little thicker than that. And then you might want to have one by itself, 2 next to each other. You could have little groups of 3. And I feel like if you group them, even if it's in your mind and they end up like looking like they're next to each other, it'll create a little more of like less, I don't know, it'll kind of feel better than if they're randomly placed or if they're evenly distributed, unless that's what you're going for intentionally. Of course, you could do whatever you want. And then so I don't tend to do, but you can still do this. Since this is the bread and butter, I should have started with that. Basically, they're just lines, long line, short line, dot, long line, and it's kind of random. And then when you go underneath, leaving gaps between them, they're kind of like roughly evenly spaced, but I like to randomize the even spacing a little bit, but keep it within like a parameter. I noticed if it gets too random, then it draws too much attention. And you kind of don't want to draw attention to the planes. They're supposed to be the negative space and sit in the background. So, you'll get an idea of how it looks good once you practice a little bit. You can also give it a little bit of a wave. See that little jiggle there? And, that's a slight variation that you could go, try messing around and making it more. I haven't really messed with that. But so that's the basic, ground stuff. And so if you wanted to add these here, you could do that and have these groups of 2 or 3 on the same plane, same level. And then let's put like 1 by itself, and let's do a group of 3. I actually hadn't tried this before, so I don't know if it's working. I'll let you guys experiment and decide what's working, but this will give you a lot of tools and ideas you can figure out, mix and match to make your own style. So we've got the trees down, right? Did we finish with the plains? We're going to be talking about these little fellas. But aside from that, yeah, we're almost done, you guys. So we've made a bunch of these. If you want to add the 3 lines, that's your basic dry scrub. That's what I think of as the dry scrubs. And when I do the marshlands, I just kind of randomly scatter them around. I try not to make it too evenly spaced, but again, like not too unevenly spaced either. It's a matter of balance. And then, it's not dry. It's not a wetlands actually, it's dry. So let's add some dry ground to indicate that. And all of a sudden we've got our more dry region. But we don't want it to be that dry, let's say. So we can add some bushes with literally just like a little cartoon bush method. A little cloud without a bottom. A cloud that fell on the ground and now lives in the plains. Maybe that's where clouds go to die in your world. I don't know. But on that note, I think we've completed our journey for this episode of Cartography Quest. And so until next time, peace, God bless, and stay fantastic, everyone.